My name is Cameron Lund.
I'm Michael Ryan.
And I'm Dimitri Fivas. Basically, I joined robotics just because I had some previous experience with robots and just messing around with like little kits and stuff when I was younger. And came to the freshman orientation and saw the robot driving around. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So then I checked it out and fell in love with it.
And for me, I had done some robotics in middle school, like Lego robots and stuff. So I had heard that East had a robotics club, and so it was the same with freshman orientation. I saw the club and I talked to Mr. Dillitz a little bit about it and left him my email. So then when the club finally started up, he emailed me, and that's when I joined.
Yeah, I heard about it through a few friends. I've kind of heard that the school had a club, and I was interested in programming because I kind of wanted to go somewhere that I could apply it and kind of put it into the real world. So that's kind of how I got involved. So part of it's managing finances. Every year we need to order a large amount of parts to be able to compete. So we have to kind of manage the funds for that and make sure we get the parts that everyone needs. And it's also just kind of like organizing the club, making sure everyone's where they need to be or has all the help they need.
A lot of it's organizing different meetings within the club and like brainstorming sessions and mentoring a lot of the new teams as well, just kind of getting them interested in robotics and kind of a basic understanding of how to build a robot as well.
Yeah, basically what Michael said, just in continuation, mentoring, making sure all of the younger teams know what they're doing, what's expected of them. If they need help, if they have questions, they can ask us and try to help them out. And then also try to help the older teams, help the younger teams too, just because it gets pretty busy when you're building robots. So. Probably for me, it's just like, I don't know, sense of teamwork, sense of community. East is a big school, and in robotics, it's just, you know, there's a close group of people there. It's a lot of fun. Spirit of competition, teaching you how to work as a team, all that,
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the robotics club is kind of like a separate home within East, where we kind of have this robotics family where we're all building our separate robots and competing against each other. But at the same time, we have very similar designs at times, and we share a lot of our design ideas. It's kind of like a collaborative environment as well.
Yeah, and on top of that, it was also kind of cool to just be able to get a challenge that you could apply yourself to. Like every year we get a new game and we're able to design a robot and we're able to build it and we're able to compete with it, which is something you really can't find anywhere else.
One that comes to mind immediately is when we were first testing our flywheel this year. I was I was loading balls into the robot and it was shooting, and I kind of put my head in the way of the robot, and we were taking a slow motion video of the robot shooting. So now we have a slow motion video of me getting hit in the head with a ball, and it's a funny video. So that was fun.
My favorite part is how quickly he put another ball in the robot and just kept going.
Yeah, I just kept shooting after that.
Probably my best memory was my sophomore year when we qualified for Worlds. That was fun. I mean, the day was just so stressful. We were doing so bad, and then for us to qualify for Worlds at the end of it was really nice. It was a good turnaround.
I'm really proud of how recently we started robotics clubs within the middle schools. So at Beck and Rosa, now that we have robotics programs in those schools as well, and we're trying to kind of foster this robotics community among the Cherry Hill School District, so that kind of feeds into our own robotics club. And just recently started running competitions for the middle school robotics teams. Some of the first competitions in South Jersey, I guess first competition south of Tinnen Falls, which is pretty up north. So it's kind of introducing middle school robotics into the community, which is I think a big boost to the robotics community in Cherry Hill.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to build up something that when I first heard about it, it was kind of like, oh, I wish I had that when I was a kid, and now we're able to give that experience to someone else.
Yeah, it's definitely cool to see the kids, you know, have an interest in robotics so young and, you know, rise up with it.
One big challenge we've had recently is size. So we have, at the beginning of the year, over 100 students, and it's really hard in one room to manage all those people, to make sure everyone kind of has their needs satisfied, like they are able to get everything they need. So that's been a big part with us recently, just managing our size. And we just kind of worked on making sure every team has a certain representative and kind of like a hierarchy, so that way everyone gets what they need. That way we can kind of work smoothly.
And I would say another recent challenge within the club, it's actually something that has been implemented by VEX on the whole, is that at competitions you used to have alliances of 3, so you'd have 2 teams pick a third partner to go with them, and that would allow us to take some of like the freshman teams who aren't competing as high a level as some of our top teams just yet, and kind of carry them up and bring them to states and get that experience competing among the top teams in the state. And more recently, VEX has switched to a 2-team system, so only one team can pick another team, and that kind of is going against some of our history with the club culture of carrying up our new teams and getting them excited about robotics. So we're looking into different ways of kind of getting them excited and coming out to states anyway and getting that experience.
And I think another big challenge that we have faced in the past, it's not really so much of an issue now, is camera referenced our size. So the club's very big and the robots aren't cheap. They're like $2,500 to $3,000 a piece. So financially, at some points in our existence, we've been limited due to the amount of parts we can buy. And VEX changed over to a new network system, V5, and that was very expensive to switch over to. So one of the ways we had to kind of come around it was like we had to brainstorm new ideas for fundraising. And we couldn't really sell food anymore because we used to do bake sales, but we kind of had to brainstorm different ideas for how to fundraise with the new limitations that were set to, be able to provide parts for everybody. One thing I'd say to people stepping up for next year is, you got to remember you guys are family first. Like, yeah, you're competing against each other, and yeah, you want to win, but at the bottom line, we all represent the same school. We're all wearing the same shirt, so you just got to remember that you're all part of the family at the end of the day, and you got to come back home and after the competition you're going to work together the same, and just keep that in mind.
I definitely agree. I think officers next year, I hope we have the team competing at a pretty high level at Cherry Hills East, but what's most important is really the club culture and maintaining our status as a very respectable organization in New Jersey. So I think by emphasizing the club culture and that collaborative effort, I think that's a lot more important than even competing at the high level that we do.
Yeah, and our club has a pretty long history of just kind of accepting everyone from any background, any experience. You don't need to come in being an expert at robotics. I think that's something we kind of hope to foster over the next few years, just keeping that history so that way everyone gets something out of it. It's not just for people who are competing at a high level. Yeah, so like I said, you really don't need any experience coming in. Our club works by the senior members will teach the younger members. So you can kind of come in with no experience whatsoever and leave your senior year with experience in design, experience in programming. So I would just say, come out the first day, get involved, talk with some officers, and make sure you can get yourself a team and get yourself a mentor. That way, we can help guide you through the process.
Yeah, I would definitely say don't be intimidated at all. We've had people come in who haven't used a screwdriver before. They don't know how to use a screwdriver, and we'll teach them everything they need to know to build a robot. So there's really no reason not to come check it out if you're interested in engineering and technology.
And definitely one thing that underclassmen have to keep in mind is to keep your head up. Building robots is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. So if you build something and it doesn't really work, don't get discouraged and give up. Just keep working at it. Everyone's been there. Everyone's built a robot that just breaks. So, keep your head up, and if something doesn't work out, just keep trying. That's how you learn. I want to go into aerospace engineering, so that's my desired major. Hopefully work for the government one day, or building airplanes or whatever.
Yeah, I'm going to be studying computer science in college, so I really want to keep that programming going, and then I'm considering joining different robotics organizations in college. I'm going to have to look into my options there, but definitely I really enjoy the programming aspects of robotics, and I want to go into that as a future career option.
Yeah, I will also be doing computer science, so just like Michael, I'm kind of interested in automation and kind of the future of robotics, what it can do for other people, and just I hope to work at a company that will develop products that kind of involve robotics.
If we let them, yeah. You just got to kill them first. You got to know when to pull the plug.
So basically, every year we're given a new game. In this year's game, we had balls in the field that were used to shoot flags, and they would go back and forth. Sorry, if you're the red team, you want to switch them to the red team. If you're the blue, you want to switch them to the blue. So we kind of discovered that the balls scored the most points. So we decided to build a robot around the fact of picking up balls and shooting them. The first challenge we had to overcome is we needed to get the balls into the robot. So the first thing we decided to work on was our intake. So this is made out of rubber bands with friction padding wrapping around it. And the reason for this is because if we had kind of like a solid piece that would take in the balls, it would get jammed up and it would be kind of hard for it to get the balls into the robot. So having this squish kind of allows them to come up under it in any direction and over any obstacles that we have. And that just makes it so no matter what, if we touch the ball, our robot takes it in and we're able to score. So from there, the balls will actually come up inside the robot. And you might be able to see right here, we have what we call an indexer. So it's a piece of plastic that if we move this, will go back and forth. So that's able to control when the balls will go into what's called the flywheel, which is kind of like a pitching machine you'll see in a lot of different sports. So this spins at 3,500 RPM. That lets us shoot the balls at about 40 miles an hour from right here. So the ball will follow up this track and go out the top and shoot at the flags.